Di tim Pameo ada Miftah nggak?
Ada Mas ini.
Halo Mas Dimas.
Halo Miftah.
Gimana
Miftah
kabarnya Mas?
kalau ya baik-baik. Kalau yang dulu voting apa sih istilahnya voting ya? Itu
Ini ya,
masih
polling ya?
polling masih ada nggak di ini atau harus
Masih.
bikin dari nol lagi?
Ini polling masih ada Mas, tapi kemarin kan pertanyaannya belum dibikin.
Pertanyaan yang pertama sama kan yang tentang dari mana backgroundnya? Dari perusahaan ini?
Itu ini sih Mas, itu harus bikin lagi sih. Soalnya kemarin kan webinar yang kemarin kan udah selesai tuh. Jadi kalau misalkan webinar baru harus bikin lagi.
Oh, oke. Oh ya udah. Terlalu mepet sih kalau bikin lagi. Saya agak lupa tuh untuk masukin itu. Kalau dibikin sekarang untuk akhir ini bisa nggak ya? Akhir webinar?
Uh, Bentar kita coba dulu ya.
Pertanyaannya sama kayak yang kemarin, apa? Topik webinar selanjutnya apa yang menarik?
Untuk pertanyaannya apa aja ya Mas?
Di akhir pertanyaannya sebenarnya yang itu sama kayak kemarin, topik apa yang menarik untuk webinar selanjutnya?
Oke, baik.
Miftah masih punya draft yang dulu nggak pertanyaannya dan pilihan ininya?
Udah nggak ada Mas.
Udah nggak ada ya?
Itu di mana ya kemarin ya? Di Google Docs nggak sih?
Iya, saya coba ingat-ingat juga nih. Kayaknya iya.
Memang. Makanya aku minta kamu ambil kursi. Aku ambilin kursi.
Saya akan mulai admit speakernya. Jadi yang lain mau di mute. Hello everyone. For those who are already joining, we will start at 2 p.m. Jakarta. So I think 1 minute to go. And yeah.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Uh, okay, it's 2 p.m. Jakarta now. Um, we are admitting some of the webinar participants already. Good afternoon everyone. Selamat siang untuk teman-teman yang dari Indonesia. Um, Welcome to our webinar series of SpiceUp. In this webinar, we highlighted things that we are doing in SpiceUp related to satellites, technology, and digital technology for agriculture, especially pepper farming. And today, I'm your host. My name is Dimas. I'm part of SpiceUp as the Business Development Officer. And today we will give a special webinar about hybrid approach in weather forecasting for agriculture. Part of the work that we are doing in SpiceUp. So maybe a little bit of introduction about SpiceUp. SpiceUp started as a development project, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago already. Supported by the Netherlands Space Office. And there are 7 consortium partners who are joining SpiceUp from the Netherlands and Indonesia. And the purpose of this SpiceUp project was to develop and implement integrated information services for smallholder farmers of pepper in Bangka, Lampung, and Kalimantan. So recently we launched our apps. So a mobile app, a SpiceUp mobile app that you can also download in Play Store. And there in our app, you can see a number of information services for our farmers. And one of them is information about weather and climate, as well as information about soil moistures, and also information about good agricultural practices, specifically for farmers. What makes us different from other solutions out there is that our information service, especially for weather, is location specific. So farmers inputting their location of the farm, and then they can remotely monitoring the conditions of the farm in terms of weather and in terms of soil moisture without the need to go to the farm every day. So that makes the work of farmers easier and reduce the urgency of farmers to go to the farms every day. And today we would like to reveal some of the methods or ways that we did to be able to come up with that weather information or forecast that we provide to farmers. A bit of information. The forecast is highlighting the today and the next 6 to 7 days of weather in that particular location. So for this webinar today, joining with me is 2 of our experts and guests. The first is Pa Ahmad Fakih. He is our weather expert. He is currently a lecturer and also a researcher in IPB, or Institut Pertanian Bogor, or IPB University, a leading agriculture university in Indonesia. And then there's also Pa Ahmad Solikin, who is from PT Cinker Agro Nusantara. And PT Cinker is also one of our partners in SpiceUp, and they are a pepper company, pepper exporting company, who is exporting pepper and working together with farmers to procure to buy their peppers in the ground in Bangka. And today, Pak Fakih will explain about his method in coming up with the weather and climate forecast, and Pak Ahmad Solikin will highlight about the benefits or how the information services, the weather information services, has helped PT Chan in their business operation. Okay, I think that's a bit of the introductions about SpiceUp. In the next session, I will go to Pak Fakih for his presentations about hybrid approach in weather and climate forecast for agriculture. Pak Fakih.
Thank you very much, Pak Dimas. Good afternoon, everyone. Selamat siang. So, since the organizer asked me to present this in English, so I will present this in English, but I will be I will welcome if there's some question in Indonesia after the talk. So yes, today I would like to give a brief presentation regarding the background of the our forecasting method, which used in in the consortium, where the information is used in the SpiceUp application. So in the title that you saw, that I give this the title is hybrid approach for producing a more reliable and accurate weather forecast. So I deleted the sentence for the word for climate, because I will only focus for weather. But for the SpiceUp project, we not only develop weather forecast, but also the seasonal climate forecast. But for today, I will only talk about the weather forecast. So as Pak Dimas said, that I'm currently a lecturer at the Department of Geophysics and Meteorology in IPB University. I'm also Vice Dean for the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences at the same university. I will work with my team to develop this approach. So let me introduce this. You can see their name, Fadlil, Imam Wahyu, and also Ilham Bayubi, since they contribute very significantly in the development of the actually get the weather forecast information from apps. There are many sources for getting the weather forecast. The question is, why we have to develop our own weather forecast, since you can get very easily to get the weather forecast information from your mobile phones. The background or the reason why we're developing our own weather forecast is, especially for this consortium, it is because that we are not only using the information for getting the current information, like let's say for the next 1-2 days or the next 5 days, but we also need the data, the handcast data, the forecast data which already happened in the past. Why? Because of this information, we can develop many statistical approach or statistical modeling for developing impact-based forecasts. So that's are the main reason. So and another thing is related to the need of the study to also focus on certain area where in the case of SpiceUp, we have we focus on the paper and where the location is very specific only for a certain region in Indonesia, for example, in Bangka Belitung, Lampung, and some parts of Kalimantan. So we need more or higher resolution data. So this higher resolution is very important to get a better forecast information. So that's why we, if you look at the forecast, like for example from GFS forecast, the resolution is about 0.25 degrees. It means about around 25 kilometer resolution. But here we develop the model or the forecast data up to more higher resolution, up to 9 kilometer resolution. So the issue about the resolution, issue about the availability of the handcast data, and also the access, the consistent access for the data is that's why the main reason why we there's a certain need to develop our own weather forecast. The other thing is the issue is regarding the approach for the need for probabilistic forecast. this is one of the main important thing, developing the ensemble forecast from different models, since we know that the weather forecast using a different initial condition data, it will develop different results of weather information, weather forecast. That's why we need to combine them all with different kind of initial condition data. But the problem is when we use the uh, numerical weather prediction to run all of these model using different initial condition, it will be very costly. So the issue is, if you want to run numerical weather prediction with a different kind of uh, initial condition, it will be very costly, because you need a supercomputer. You need a computer that really fast, and it is expensive in terms of the to have these computing resources, as well as for the operation, since it will need a lot of electrical energy. That's why we come up with the idea to develop uh, a hybrid approach. Why we call it? I think I have to mention earlier what we mean with hybrid. The hybrid approach is our way to combining the uh, dynamical approach using numerical weather prediction, combining with the statistical methods. So uh, from that uh, we can significantly reduce the computing time. Therefore, we can reduce the computing costs, but without eliminating our purpose, and so we can get to the aim of what we want from the forecast product, which is to calculate the probabilistic forecast from different or many outputs. Because if you look at this uh, illustration, for example, with different kind of initial condition, we may have different kind of results, where if we have many results, then we can develop a probabilistic approach to get to measure our confidence on the uh, forecast itself, the product of the forecast. So in order to bypass the computing cost problem, we developed this relatively low cost operation assemble forecast system. So we expect to improve the predictive capabilities of the weather forecast, especially for this consortium. Uh, so actually, as I mentioned before, we actually produce two kind of products. The first one is seasonal climate prediction, which we can produce the prediction up to 1 year prediction for seasonal rainfall. We use the multimodal ensemble, and we also predict the statistic of the daily rainfall. For example, like the onset of rainy season, the onset of dry season, and other information. But for today, I will only focus for this output for the weather forecast. We have, and actually we have two products from the weather forecast. The first one is the hybrid approach that I will inform you more about this approach, and also how we evaluate the evaluation of this approach. And the other thing is the purely statistical downscaling. Why we make two different products? Because, as I said, the dynamic approach we use the WRF models to do the dynamical simulation, and this is a bit costly, and sometimes we experience technical conditions related to the internet, and then also electrical problem. So we develop the purely statistical downscaling in order uh, to be used as a backup. So if this first approach, the hybrid approach, fail, we still have the uh, forecast products, which is we develop using the statistical approach. And this one is actually the simulation process is very fast. It's less than 1 hour. We can get the result every day for the simulation. But this one we need almost 1 day of computer simulation in order to get the. So if you have we use in this hybrid approach we use 21 ensemble. It means that one approach that we use from the WRF and the other thing is using the statistical one. If one model needs one day to simulate, then if you run all with the computing resource that we have at the moment, if you run all those 21 input data, 21 ensemble data based on this dynamical approach, it will take 21 days. So it's not really it's not possible for in terms of the operational. That's why we develop this kind of approach for the combining this. So the hybrid approach that we mean here is the combination between the WRF based forecast with the statistical downscaling. So we end up with 21 model outputs. So I will show you the result after this. So from this weather forecast, we actually have many kind of outputs for weather variables. This is to show you that the data which share, because all of the data we share to Lizard, it's a platform owned by Newland and Schulman, one of our partners in the consortium. So we send the data to their server, and then all of the data that we send is listed in this table. So we include the weather icons, the temperatures, the rainfall, the probabilistic forecast result of the rainfall, the chance of every rainfall category that we develop. We separate into 6 categories of rainfall or weather for this system. This is a limited access only for the consortium because you need to have an account to get access to all of the data that we submit to Lizard. So I just show you the interface of the Lizard, how we check the data coming to the server, and you can see all of this type of weather parameters available in the portal. So, but the data itself, which is already stored in Lizard, will be it have they open the API link, so it can be used to directly link with the SpiceUp application. So I will talk more about this ensemble, why we need the ensemble approach, because as we know, I already mentioned it before, different initial condition, we will have different kind of possible forecasting result, and that's why we use this, we develop into several categories of the rainfall. So what we means with the hybrid approach here, we actually only focusing on rainfall. Why only rainfall? Because the rainfall is one of the weather parameters or weather variables which is vary in terms of time and space. And unlike temperature, for example, you can easily because the characteristic of temperatures, it's not we can really look the continuous types in terms of the time and space. So this is the dynamic approach that we use. So this is the domain that we define for the simulation. We use the GFS data to run the WRF model. So this one is automatic. So there's no human intervention in our system because we already make the system automatically scheduled. So it will run every day uh, and automatically. So because if you still use human intervention to do the to do the calculation, it will be expensive and it's not effective because you have to update it regularly every day. So that's why we use the script. We make a schedule using crontab to make the system running automatically. So these are the this is the process of the simulations. We do the step first for downloading the GFS data every day. So then we do the post processing, running the WRF for the whole region, and do the automatically do the post processing as from producing the spatial maps as well as automatically send the data to uh, Lizard server. Uh, from this approach, the dynamic one, we focus on rainfall. So we develop the data from the dynamical approach. We also have the global ensemble member of the forecasting system. So we develop statistical downscaling using bias correction approach to develop forecast for other ensemble member, which has the characteristics similar to the forecast produced by WRF data. So therefore, we have the operational daily ensemble forecast. We have 21 ensemble data. This one is the example. So for you can see this, we have 21 outputs for in one time simulation or in one time calculations. So you can see how vary the results obtained from each ensemble member. And this is because of the ensemble member has different initial condition, which of course influencing the result of the simulation or forecasting result. So based on this approach, you can see this, I show you up to 10 days forecast. So this one, the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, until 10-day forecast. And if you focus only on one, for example, like in forecast 3-day, for example, sorry, if you can see here, with every ensemble member, resulting different approach, but where in some certain region, maybe it will be, you can find a very similar result. And we calculate each grid, uh, the chance of rainfall based on the category that we uh, develop for the rainfall. So these are the summary for the whole Indonesia. This one is the ensemble mean of the whole, all models. So for the daily weather, we develop based on rainfall. We develop six categories. The first one is sunny weather, and then dry or cloudy weather, and then low amount, low rainfall, medium, high, and very high rainfall. Then from those 21 ensemble member, we can calculate the likelihood uh, of each category. For example, we have several days of forecast, and we can see which one has the highest probability uh, which category we can find which category that has the highest probability. From that information, we can give more. We can use that information to issue the forecast for each day. Well, what is the highest chance to have for the weather in the next day? For example, if the highest probability will be medium rainfall, then we can show the medium rainfall in our forecast, and we can also show the how is the how large is the likelihood, the probability, and we can also show the range of rainfall value. So uh, for example, this one is in the SpiceUp, but we also have the information for example in Sipindo. So this is the information for light rainfall, for example. So this information, light rainfall, is based on this probability, the highest category which has the highest probability. So this one is, for example, in SpiceUp. Actually, for SpiceUp, the information of the weather is quite simple, because we only show something like this. But like I said before, the advantage we have the data, the running the model or producing the weather forecast by ourselves is we can use the data for other uh, uh, for developing impact-based forecasts. For example, at the moment I will show you at the end of this presentation, we are currently collecting the pest and disease information, spatial pest and disease information based on the weather forecast. So we produce this kind of information by relying the weather forecast data that we have in our system, which we can uh, not get this kind of data from the commercial or free weather forecast provider in the mobile phone. So yeah, in I think Padimas maybe can explain more about this, but we develop this forecast information. We use this forecast information for weather and climate to develop specific information for farmers, for collectors, for businesses. So based on the need of the each one, like for farmer, for example, we use the weather forecast and climate forecast data to develop advice for farmers when they have to start planting, when they have to uh, apply uh, fertilizers and something. So starting from they start seeding, uh, preparing their plant to be planted, and until harvesting, uh, uh, the information or the advice is developed uh, mostly based on the weather and climate forecast that we develop. This is spatial resolution of daily weather forecast. So you can get, this is why I show you this area, because Bangka and Belitung is one of the area that we focus for this paper, because this is one of the central of the paper plantation. So you can see we have a quite higher resolution with 9 kilometer resolution for the area. So we can get a very quite specific weather information for different part of the region in these small islands. And we give all this information for the whole Indonesia. We do some but this is all actually the data we only use only for 1 month. So we try to evaluate the data based on the information of the observation from satellites, and so we do the evaluation of our forecast for this period. Of course, for other periods may produce different results, but we uh, come up with the result that our model is quite good in most of Indonesian region, especially for the area where we focus for this project in Bangka Belitung, Kalimantan, and Lampung. So this one is the lowest value. Sorry, this one is the rainfall value. Sorry. This one is the mean square error. We have a higher error in the higher topographical region in Indonesia, but for the area where we focus for the paper plantation, it shows quite a low error between the model and the observation. We also do some forecast evaluations, and it also shows the uh, good score over Java, eastern part of Sumatra and Sulawesi, southern part of Borneo, and some western part of Kalimantan, showed by the lowest value of this score. But for the higher topography area, we actually have lowest score. Lowest skill, lower skill. This one. So in terms of the area where we focus for our study for the SpiceUp consortium, the forecast result is quite good. So it's very good for this, and we confidence to show to use this information to help the to be used as a basic information to develop the impact-based forecast for the other departments. This is just show you the example how the forecast in the results, and we also check the in the field, which is showing good result. And we also do a little bit analysis showing on the extreme condition, as we know that in 2000 years ago, 2019, we have a very strong, huge, very extreme rainfall over Sulawesi, and our forecast data showing a very good result during these events. Also for this, so we check on the newspaper, and we also check on our forecast, produce the rainfall data of the forecast, and we check on two regions in Konawe and Luwu as well. So we check on the uh, newspaper, and then with the region as well. So it's quite good in terms of extreme uh, information. It means we have a potential also to be developed uh, this information for extreme rainfall related forecast. And furthermore, we also use this kind of forecast to develop information regarding to pest and disease, as I mentioned before. This one is the example, is still under development. So we can use the 10 days weather forecast to develop a warning related to development of the certain organism impacting the pepper plantation. We look at the ecoclimatic index as well as other uh, uh, index or other indices or other sign to look at the development of this disease. pest and disease. So this one is an example of this, the use of this weather forecast, how we develop this spatial information using daily. This is an example between 4 to 13 May 2020. Yeah, I think that's it for me. In terms of this combined or hybrid approach of this, it can be, we have approved that it is quite reliable to be used not only for research but also for operational uh, uh, needs, because we can automatically update with a low cost computation, and we can do it consistently every day without the need of supercomputers. And our evaluation also shows that the result is quite good for most of the region in Indonesia, except several areas with higher or high topography in the mountainous region. Uh, uh, and the last thing is the result uh, highlight the feasibility of this for operational, which also can be used to develop various impact-based forecasts, like I showed you at the last slide before. Uh, we use this information also to develop impact-based forecast, which is currently needed for many aspects, not only in the paper plantation, but also in other aspects related to uh, agriculture, fisheries, and other needs. Thank you, Pak Dimas. I think that's all my presentation.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak Fakih. Terima kasih banyak atas penjelasannya. Thank you for your interesting presentations. I would like to remind our audience, if you have any questions, feel free to just put it in a chat, either in Bahasa or in English. We will answer it at the end of the presentation. We will have a Q&A session. And we are a bit later in terms of time, so this webinar might end a bit later than what is planned. So I hope you all can stay a bit longer, maybe 10 to 15 minutes longer to listen to all of our speakers and also the answers from our speakers. And so for next, we have Pak Ahmad Solihin from PT Cincare Agro Nusantara, who will present about how the weather
Sorry, I think I clicked the setting too soon. Is it okay to start? Sorry, Mr. Dimas, Mas Dimas. Okay, I think. Okay, so I will immediately start the presentation. I got some problem with Mr. Dimas, I think. Okay, so wait a minute. So I will talk about what PT Chan do to utilizing the weather forecast utility in PT Chan. So without further ado, actually, I'm from PT Chan, and what we do is user engagement in SpiceUp, and also monitoring the demo plot. So the main focus of our presentation right now is the farm management to support our decision making and scheduling based on forecasting the weather that provided by IPB and also Fundersat. So PT Chan have farms in Bangka. We have so many different farms in Bangka. First, we have 1 hectares of SpiceUp demo plot, which is monitored by SpiceUp project by us, and also using fertilize and also maintenance that recommended by the apps. And then we have 1 hectare of agroforestry plot, which is our project to regenerative farming, because we believe that in the future we need to make farming more regenerative. So in a farm, we have not only one crops, it's not monocultures, we have so many crops. There's fruits, there's trees, and also we minimize the utility of chemical fertilizers. And also we have 6 more hectares with various crops, such as melons, chilies, and then other fruits, sorghum, and also etc. And then we have 5 more hectares that are not yet developed, and we still have many plans to do with our farms. So about the weather forecasting that provided by the SpiceUp, first, I'm sorry, I forgot to presentation. Okay, so next, the first thing that we do with the forecasting weathers is to predicting the rainfall. So with the data of rainfall, we can make a schedule about irrigation, and we can prepare the crops. We can prepare the labor when the rainfall is not happen. So because the data can predict up to 4-5 days, 4 to 5 days, so we can predict that in the 4 days or 3 days, we need to irrigate the farm because we don't have rainfall at all. And when the rainfall is high, we can store the water because we have some pool in there to store water when the rainfall is high to irrigate the other crops in the farm. It's very useful because it's every day we need to allocate the right labor and also the right amount of people to do the farm work. And then beside that, we also use the weather forecasting for the timing for the fertilizers because weather condition is very important. So for peppers, we need to do the fertilizer before the end of rain season. So, and also using the data of humidity, we can fertilize the crop accurately because in the SpiceUp app, there is data about humidity and also soil temperatures. It's very important because the soil condition must be dry enough so that the fertilizer doesn't waste away, and also moist enough so the fertilizer can be absorbed by the soil easily. So for example, if the soil temperature is like 38 or 37 is too hot, so we will suspend the fertilizer timing so we can do next day. We will see the data again if it's okay and approved by Balitro, our other partners that monitor the demo plot, then we will do the fertilizer that day. And then other than that, we also use the data to field workability, such as first for the pruning, there's sunlight data in the apps. We use the data, the one of the consideration to do pruning when outside this sunlight data, we also see whether the cover tree is dense enough or too dense or not. And if it's too dense and the sunlight is too high, we will consider to do pruning of the cover tree. And also in peppers, there's a condition when the root is drying out because the soil is too hot, and it's very convenient because in the app there's data of soil temperatures. We can see the temperatures in that soil, and we can plan to do covering with using leaf or other or compost or something like that to minimize the temperatures in the soil, so we can avoid the pepper's root from dying out. So that's all that we do in the farm, because the data is already great, but we still need other features such as pest and disease, like Pak Paki told us earlier. There's will be pest and disease features, and we really waiting for it, because it's very needed, because we also meet farmers to ask them to join us with using this SpiceUp, and each region have different pest and disease problems, and if the apps can provide that, it will really cool and really nice to see. I think that's all for me.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ahmad Solihin, for the presentation.
Yes. Okay. I'm back. Sorry for the technical problems. So indeed, thank you, Pa Ahmad Solihin, for the nice and very clear presentation. Now we will go to a Q&A session in which we allow our audience to ask questions if they have any. Let me check in the chat. You can also raise your hand if you have questions, and then you can then we will give you the floor to ask your questions to our speakers. Okay. Okay. There's questions directed to Pak Faki. Pak Faki, as we know, there are also some forecasts from BMKG in Indonesia. How is it different with your forecast in terms of accuracy, in terms of coverage, etc.?
We have a BMKG person here. He can answer. Pak Hairullah is here. Maybe he knows more about that. But yeah, our forecast. I don't like to make this as comparison for BMKG, because BMKG is the main institution producing the forecast for the whole Indonesia. Since our activity is more specific for this consortium, so that's why I put more emphasis on the how we can deliver the extension of the information based on this forecast, not the weather forecast itself, because the weather forecast we can get from many, but how we can use the series of the weather forecast that we have, the hindcast, the forecast, to develop the impact-based forecast to give advice to farmers. This is what we do in SpiceUp, because we give information to farmer more on the advice, which is actually based on the weather forecast, but they don't need to really know what, because sometimes when they only see the weather forecast itself, they don't know what to do. So in the system, in the SpiceUp, in the consortium, we use this information to make some matrix information to provide advice for farmers because we use farmers' language, so they can act directly. We don't need to think more interpreting the forecast. That's the main. So for the BMKG itself, the difference actually from ourselves is why we develop this hybrid one, because we uh, more focus on providing probabilistic forecast automatically. That's why we need many outputs from the models. So we use ensembles. Uh, we are not using deterministic. Uh, and but for BMKG itself, I don't know. Maybe the person from BMKG can, and I think there's no need for comparison for that. So yeah, that's my point, Pak Dimas.
Thank you, Pak Fakih, for the clear answer. Maybe another questions for you from the users of the app. Usually, you mentioned a lot about farmers. Farmers also has these AccuWeather information which is automatically in all Android phones. They have it. So they were wondering, why should I use SpiceUp where I already have AccuWeather? How is it different in helping me uh, with my pepper farming? Do you have
Yeah,
any answers to that
as
kind
I
of?
said before, what is the advantage of SpiceUp is the farmer can get the advice directly without they need to think more to interpret the forecast information. They can see the forecast information from any uh, sources, and actually it's good to have to get information not only from one sources, so they can get ensemble information, right? So directly they can also get, oh, from five, for example, from five sources, uh, three or four said there will be rainfall, one not rainfall, so they will sure there will be rainfall in the next coming days. That's good because there might be inconsistent result between. Uh, uh, that's why from this idea, having not only one forecast products, that's why we develop this kind of approach, because we uh, at the moment have 21 model outputs. From those 21, we can see how many from the, for example, you have uh, 10 or 12 saying that it will be uh, mid rainfall, yeah, uh, and the rest of the models saying like three saying there will be uh, clear days, bright days, clear weather, and the other two maybe saying low rainfall. But you have more than half saying mid rainfall. It means that you have confidence more than 50%. Uh, the forecast will be or the weather will be mid rainfall.
Yeah,
So that's why probabilistic forecast is important to help you to make sure to get the confidence of forecast itself.
And
clear.
also, I think I will add
Yeah,
some answers. In SpaceUp, we have data of soil temperatures that we found is very useful because for peppers, it's really important about the condition of the soil because some disease will spread more quickly when the soil is too hot, and also in the seedling phase when or after the planting phase, if the soil is too hot, it's really uh, difficult for peppers to survive. So
yeah,
that's also the plus the Space Up have.
clear. Thank you, Pak Fakih and Pak Ahmad. Maybe another question for Pa Ahmad, you mentioned a bit about the benefit of data for you, for your company, and as a company who is working a lot with farmers, have you heard any testimony about the weather forecast feature in SpiceUp from the farmers? How do they think of it right now, and what needs to be improved, something like that?
So, because we engage people, our task is to engage people on SpiceUp app. So we meet many farmers, and we already did some user testing and ask whether the accuracy of the SpiceUp weather forecasting is accurate or not. And the result is the accuracy is very good. Most of the forecasting is true, because we see in the next 3 days it is like mid rain, and the next 3 days the farmers will report is rain or not, and mostly it's rain and it's accurate. And also the features that we hope can be improved if is like we mentioned before, like the humidity and soil temperatures, it's very effect in applying fertilizers. So maybe we can give like alert whether it is good for do fertilizing or not, and also alert when there is drought, like it's too hot. So maybe there is advice to cover the around roads of peppers.
Yeah, clear. Thank you, Pa Ahmad. I think because of the time, we need to end the Q&A session, but it has been a really okay. There's one more question, I think, from Pak Maulana. Pak Maulana, if I think you can speak up.
Okay, thank you, Pak Dimas. Good to talk to you all. My name is Sidik. I'm from Mayo, Mega University Organic. So on the launching, my director give greetings the moment. Sorry, maybe I was late for this seminar. I think this interesting seminar. I was present in the end of the presentation. Pak Ahmad Fakih, I'm sorry. Maybe one question I think about the hybrid system. Maybe we can talk about the answer with maybe I want email to with you, Pak Fakih or Pak Dimas. Which one is more dominant with which guarantee the accuracy of the weather in the future? I mean, of technical. I saw the algorithm or yeah, maybe you can get my point, Pak Dimas. Which one dominant and why? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Maulana. I think Pak Fakih can answer the questions. So between the hybrid, which one is more dominant in eventually coming up with the forecast, Pak Fakih?
Sorry, I don't really get with the question.
So the hybrid approach combined both ways, right, to come up with a forecast. So is that does it work like at the end one of the ways is have more influence to the results of the forecast, or eventually it's just complementary to each other and no one way that is more dominant to each other?
Actually, the input of the data is actually from same sources, same source. But we can only run one model from those all 21. And for the 20, the rest of the 20 inputs, we develop some approach with the output from the one that we run dynamically. So, of course, the dynamic approach is more because it's one of the base information that we as a reference as well to develop the other 20. But since all of these models has different initial values, they actually has different outputs like I show you in the presentation, and that we actually only increase the spatial resolution based on the characteristic that we have or that we get from the dynamic approach. So that's the main idea. Without reducing the actual or the original characteristic of these 22 models, 22 outputs.
Clear. Thank you, Pak Fakih, for the answers. Also, thank you for Pak Maulana for the questions. For more information about, or if you want to ask more questions or need more elaborate answers, feel free to contact us at our email. I've put my email as well in the chat box so we can communicate further. But for the time, because it's 3 p.m. already now, we need to conclude our session. Thank you for all the audience for attending this meeting. Thank you for the speakers as well. And maybe to conclude, I have one polling for the audience for our next webinar. The Pameo team, can you start the polling? Okay, I think we almost, more than half of the audience in a poll, and I think I will end the polling. But yeah, the next topic that will be interesting is how the agriculture data sets help in effective agri-input demand forecasting. Okay, thanks a lot for those who are already filling in the polling. Like I said, SpiceUp will have many webinar series as well in the future. So stay tuned to our social media at SpiceUp Indonesia. You can find it in Instagram and also LinkedIn. You can also check out our website at spiceup.live. There you can register for a newsletter, and we will give updates about what we do in SpiceUp in that newsletter. And for any yes, and for any companies or organizations out there who are interested to know us more or to see how we can work together, feel free to contact us as well via my email or via the websites. And yeah, thank you everyone, thank you the speakers, and see you in the next webinar of SpiceUp. Good afternoon, bye bye.
Thank you, bye bye.